Welcome to 77 WABC's annual Back the Blue event. We have a ton of really special people here today, folks that keep us safe every day. But I do want to start with the president of WABC Radio, guy I'm really proud not just to call my boss, but to call a friend as well. And he knows about protecting people because Chad Lopez actually served his country proudly in the Navy. Went out there on warships and made sure that we were safe abroad, which, as you all know now, has become a major issue. So not only does he run the best radio station in the country, as we're about to find out tonight, John and Margot, but he's also a proud protector of the United States as well. So with that said, here he is, the president of WABC Radio, my friend Chad Lopez.
As president of WABC Radio, I would like to thank John and Margot Katzmatidis for their unwavering support of law enforcement and making this day possible for all of us and for all of you. So thank you, John, Margot. And thank you to all of you for joining us today, showing your loyal support for the dedicated men and women of our law enforcement agencies. Right now, across the country and on WABC Live right now on radio, we are going to take a moment of silence for all of our fallen heroes. Thank you. Our mission is clear: to respect, trust, and back those who work tirelessly to keep our cities and loved ones safe across the country. Today we stand united in this mission, and we symbolize our commitment by tying blue ribbons around trees in our communities. These ribbons serve as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made by our law enforcement officers every day, and as a symbol of our respect for their service. But it's not just about symbols. Today we will hear from families whose lives have been positively touched by the courage and strength of our law enforcement officers. These stories are testament to selflessness and dedication of those who protect and serve every day. In showing our support today, we acknowledge that law enforcement faces unique challenges and difficult decisions. We understand that, like any profession, there may be room for improvement, and we are committed to working together to foster positive change while preserving the safety of our communities. Let us remember that this is through dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect that we can ensure a safer, more secure future for all. Together we can forge a path to trust, understanding, and unity. Our support for law enforcement is a pledge to uphold values that keep our communities safe. Thank you for being here and joining us for this important mission. Together we can build a stronger, safer, and more resilient nation. By scanning this QR code on the podium, you will be able to make a donation to the 501c3 WABC Foundation's Fallen Officers Family Fund. Respect, trust, and back the blue. Thank you. And to conclude, I'd like to acknowledge, and you will hear from, a few people who are here with us today. The DEA President, Paul DiGiacomo. President and CEO of New York City Police Foundation, Susan Birnbaum. Nassau Community Police Commissioner, Patrick Ryder. Chief Jimmy McCarthy. President at Sergeants Benevolent Association, Vincent Vail-Long. President and NYPD Captains Endowment Association, Chris Monahan. Police Athletic League Executive Director, Carlos Velasquez. Frank A. Tarantino III, Special Agent in charge of Drug Enforcement Administration. Wife of Detective Veve, Esther Veve. Brandon Hendricks' mom, Eva Hendricks. The widow of the NYPD Patrolman Steve McDonald, Patty McDonald. Chief Assistant for DA Ray Tierney, Alan Bode. NYP Chief of Transit, Michael Kemper. And to all of you in line of duty families and all of you here today with us, thank you for being here.
So a couple of weeks ago, I got an invitation from the union leader of the DEA, a man by the name of Paul DiGiacomo, who's become a dear, dear friend over the last couple of years, to go to Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach. I saw this fine gentleman there that night. What a hero he is, by the way. We'll talk to his wife coming up later on. And I saw a whole bunch of folks that went through a long day's work, guys, stabbed, shot, still found a way to get the bad guy and go home that night. And I do want to thank Paul for giving me an award that night, which to this day I have no idea why, but he did. Thank you for that. You are the real heroes. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the union boss, loved by so many cops in this city and us as well, my friend, Paul DiGiacomo.
You know, law enforcement at this time in our history is probably the most difficult job there is. Not only here in New York City, but throughout the whole state and throughout the whole country. It seems like society, some segments of society, have turned on the police. And I just want to, acknowledge what happens across the country to some of us when we take action out on the street. I ask everyone to say a prayer. There is a trial going on today, as we speak, for the homicide of a New York City detective. Detective Sackos was run down by a drunk driver, and it was a horrific crime scene, and his family is devastated. He has a young wife and 2 young children. And to sit in that courtroom and see the pain and the suffering that this young lady is going through, and she brings that home to her children, and her life will never, ever be the same. And that trial is going on today. And just say a prayer that this individual, this perpetrator, that perpetrated this crime, is held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. So I ask everyone to say a prayer for the Sackos family, and say a prayer that this trial ends with this individual spending the rest of her life behind bars, because she deserves it. Now, as we move forward in policing, we have to start to turn the tide. And we're doing that here by doing the Back to Blue rallies. For the first time in my life, I've never seen recruitment in the NYPD being a problem. But policing throughout the whole country is a dying profession. And it's a dying profession because you don't have the full support of government. You don't have full support in the city with the city council. You don't have support in Albany with the Senate and the Assembly enacting bail reform laws. And the federal government, instead of adding more police, they're trying to take more police away and tie the hands of the police by enacting laws that make our job impossible to do. But WABC, John and Marlo, all you do for us in trying to turn that tide back is greatly appreciated. So with that being said, the only way we're going to change things and get things back to somewhat normalcy is to get to the polls and vote for the candidates that are pro-police and pro-protecting the victim of crime, not the criminals of crime. We have to start thinking the right way. The criminals commit these crimes, and there's always a victim. And nobody talks or thinks about the victims. But New York City police officers do, and every police agency here thinks about the victim and helps that victim. So I thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.
John and Margot Catsimatidis. I've been in the radio business for a long time, 25 years. I've never worked for folks who cared more about their city, their state, their employers, their employees, I should say, and certainly the police. It is heartwarming what John and Margot do on a daily basis. You know, the PAL and all these events we put together, that's their brainchild, folks. That's theirs. So without any further ado, the man most responsible for all this today is sitting about 3 chairs to my right. He is Mr. WABC, Mr. Red Apple Media, and quite frankly, Mr. New York. He deserves a rousing round of applause. He's my owner, my boss, and my friend, John Catsimatidis.
Our police officers should be shown respect, and we should back our police. In 3 weeks, we have elections. 51 out of 51 city council seats. I don't care if they're Democrats, I don't care if they're Republicans, but the one thing I do care about, and WABC will continue to do that, is to point out who in the city council is pro-police, and who on the city council wants to defund the police. The heck with defunding. I call upon all of our politicians in New York City, New York State, to demand what they did in 1988 under David Dinkins and under the city council then, Peter Vallone, and our general counsel, Judge Weinberg. They demanded federal government give the money for 5,000 more police officers in New York, and that's what we should get. The other thing that we're trying to get done, affordable housing in the city for police officers. And when I ran for mayor in 2013, and I'm not running again, they should have affordable housing for police officers in New York City. Won't you, if you lived on the 12th floor, wouldn't you want to have police officers on the 8th floor or 10th floor or whatever? Won't you feel better that way? To make it affordable so our police officers can live in the city if they want to live in the city? Love the blue. Okay? Thank you, guys.
That's a good man right there, John Catsimatidis. I wish he would run. You know, I was on the phone with Peter King this morning. Peter King, proudly serving Long Island for the better part of 4 decades, Homeland Security. You know the whole spiel. And I said, I got to tell you, look at Long Island. What an amazing job they've done, right? You've got a police commissioner in Nassau, Pat Ryder. He is one of the best. You know, Nassau County has more people than 7 states in this country. You got Pat Ryder running the police department in Nassau County. You've got Ann Donnelly, who's really terrific as a DA. And then you go to Suffolk County, you've got Rodney Harrison, and you've got Ray Tierney. So, I'm not a big fan of Long Island, but I move there tomorrow because I'll be safe. Between the cops and the DAs and the police commissioners, they do a tremendous job, especially Pat Ryder. So here he is, the Nassau County Police Commissioner, one of the best in the country, Pat Ryder.
To the WABC family, we can't thank you enough for giving the men and women a voice. The men and women who wear this blue uniform every single day, a voice. The men and women who wear the uniform and are willing to put their life on the line for your families. That's what stands here today. That's what's at risk every single day when the laws from Albany keep changing and make our job harder and harder. I'll take you back just 2 to 3 years ago. We were in the worst pandemic this country has ever seen. We had unrest like we've never seen throughout this country. Over 705 men and women died in the line of duty. 497 of them died from COVID. Everybody was told, go home, secure yourself, stay in your homes, don't come out, except the men and women of law enforcement. Come out and defend the city, defend the counties because of what is going on with the unrest. And we did, and we paid the sacrifice. We don't ask for much. By God knows, we do not get paid enough. But these men and women go out and risk their life every single day for the people of this great city, for the people of Nassau and Suffolk County. We just ask one thing. Just say thank you. Thank you. Pat a cop on the back. Tell them that you respect them and give them the respect that they do. And we'll continue to serve with the great pride that we have to protect and serve the people of this great city and Nassau County. Thank you.
On behalf of Police Commissioner Caban and the people of Manhattan South here, which I cover everything below 59th Street, I want to say thank you for your voice. You've always been a staunch supporter of the NYPD, and I know John and Margot a long time, and I got to tell you, you're not going to find any bigger supporters than them to the police department. All right, so guys, I want to thank you for everything that you do. All right, and you know, at the end of the day, you have people like the gentleman to the right of me, who's a hero. We have too many heroes. All right, and we really need your support. All right, thank you.
We've got the president of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, Vincent Valalang, is here too. Vin, I see Vin every year. Come on up here, handsome.
I've been in this line of work for a very long period of time, and I can tell you, through the ups and downs, through all the good times and the bad times, this job is one of the best jobs in the world. We have the greatest seat to the biggest show in the world, and the one thing that we always take pride in is taking care of the people in the community. And it's even at times when we're getting things thrown at us, at the end of the day, we still go home. And the one thing that's most important to us, besides our families, is every single person that lives in this city, bar none. And I don't care what the naysayers say about the different factions that we go after. It's not true. It never has been true. What we need to start doing is giving back to the city. The people need to start coming out, and they need to start coming out and vote. That's the most important thing. It's our right. It's been fought for through wars to get us to this point. These people that are politicians right now, some of them, they're not good people. They're not good for what it is that we stand for. And at the end of the day, they do need to be voted out. So just remember, Election Day is coming up. I want to thank the Katzmatidis family. I want to thank WABC, for everything that you guys do. Regardless of what it is I'm doing, I'll always try and make sure I come out here and be with you guys and support you, because you support us. So thank you very much.
By the way, you don't have to go all the way back to the summer of 2020, which was a brutal summer for you folks especially, God bless you. Just go to Saturday. I don't know about you, but I was relatively horrified seeing 5,000 people demonstrating a pro-Palestinian rally in Bay Ridge, 20 minutes from my house. How it ended is why we're here today, because how it ended was just like the summer of 2020, throwing bottles and spitting at and punching and kicking police officers. And that's why we're here today. Because I don't know about you folks, but I'm tired of it. I've been tired of it for years. And like these fine people have said so far today, for some reason, not only is it okay in this city, but I've seen folks go on television and encourage it. Say, hey, that's a peaceful rally. That's a peaceful protest. I don't know. Throwing a bottle at me, kicking me in the face, doesn't sound peaceful to me. We're just 5 days removed from that. 5 days. So it's important you guys are out here today.
Thank you, Sid. Chris Monahan couldn't be here today. My name is Robert Hackmeister. I'm one of the vice presidents of the Captains Union. I want to offer my condolences always to the line of duty families. Thank you for being here, and our injured officer, the Castamidis family, for supporting the police department, law enforcement across the country. As I echo my sentiments from our other unions, it's very tough. And there are 51 city council members, and there's about 48 of them against us. So we ask you and all your families to go out there, and the tide has to turn. At some point, the pendulum is going to go the other way. We need your help. It's not WABC and law enforcement isn't going to do it alone. We need your help. Thank you.
One of the parts of the department where John and Margot spend a lot of time, oh good, the band is here, and give a lot of money, is the PAL. And to be honest, when I got to WABC years ago when they took over, I didn't know much about it. But the PAL is a very, very, very important part of the police department in our city. And I couldn't think of a better way, John and Margot and John Jr., to spend money than on those folks. They put on great events every year, and they make sure that a lot of our kids are okay and doing the right thing. This guy really is drug enforcement. Frank Tarantino III. Frank.
Good morning, John and Margot and the WABC family. I can't say thank you enough, and I can't say it loudly enough, because the DEA and our state, local, federal, and counterparts really appreciate all the work that you do. And as I look out here today, I see all the men and women in uniform, and I say thank you. I say thank you for holding that line. And we can go about our day knowing that we don't have to look over our shoulder because somebody's going to attack us. What we do is we protect and serve. We uphold the rule of law, because if we don't, nobody else will. How we do it? We do it in a variety of ways. We do it with community policing, precision policing. We do it with data-driven, intelligence-led enforcement operations. This is what we do. But why do we do what we do? We do it because we have a sense of purpose and a shared commitment to serve and protect. To protect the citizens of this city, to protect the citizens of this country, because we belong to something bigger than you and me. And in this day, when our work has never been more difficult, when our work has never been more important, when more Americans are dying every single day in the United States because of fentanyl, 110,757 Americans died in 2022, 3,000 right here in this city. One person every 5 minutes is dying in the United States. Over 300 every single day. I used to say it was a 737 crashing every day in the United States. It's almost 2 737s crashing every day in the United States. And I say, what should the American people say? We want more. We deserve more. Our children deserve more. And the men and women that are standing here in uniform today that are part of the New York Drug Enforcement Task Force work every single day to keep this city healthy and safe, because we believe we do make a difference. And together we can make this city safer, and we can make this world a healthier place. So thank you for the WABC family. Thank you for the men and women in blue. And thank you for the families that support them from behind the scenes. Have a great day.
The president and CEO of the New York City Police Foundation, Susan Birnbaum. Susan, come on up.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you to Margot and John Katzimatidis for all you do, not only to support the Police Foundation, but for all you do to support this great city. I can't think of two people that are more supportive of trying to build back a better city. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Chad and WABC Radio for giving the men and women in blue a voice to speak about what they do and how they're keeping New York City safe. I thank all the members of the NYPD. We're grateful to Commissioner Caban and all the members that are here today, and in the police department for all they do, to the line of duty families that are here today. And I also want to recognize the mounted unit. I'd also like to just take a moment of silence for the Queens Crossing Guard, who was just struck down doing her job, keeping New Yorkers safe. So if we could just take a moment in memory of Crossing Guard. Thank you. Be safe and be well. Thank you.
So I told you guys a couple of weeks ago I had the opportunity, thanks to Paul DiGiacomo, to attend this huge event for the DEA at Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach. And I had no idea what I was going to see that night. I was just going for the free food and hang out with a bunch of brave cops. But what I saw was the most inspiring 3 hours maybe I've ever spent. What I saw were a bunch of real heroes. People like all of us who left their house that morning and went to work and came home a different person. Some that were shot, some that were stabbed, some run over by cars. But none of these people retreated. None of these people turned around. And they did the best they could to get the bad guy. And that night they handed out about 12 awards to some of these folks. And their families spoke, and they say all the time, for as difficult as it is for the heroes, like my friend right here, how his life has changed. His whole family's life changed that night. His beautiful wife Esther, guys that have kids. But I have to tell you that it's so beautiful to see the support and the devotion and the love that these families provide for men like this who went to work to protect you and I, and thank God he's still with us, but living a much different life. He was awarded that night a couple of weeks ago. I'll never forget him. And I'll certainly never forget his wife, Esther. Please, I beg of you, to give this lady a rousing round of applause. This is Esther Veve.
Good morning, everyone. So Saturday, June 3rd, 2017, started like any other day. Doshi and I completed our routine tasks for church for the following day. Thank you. Later that evening, we ate dinner together before Daush left for work on his night shift. Daush and I immigrated to the United States during our teenage years. He always wanted to become a police officer, and it was a dream come true for him when he was appointed to the NYPD. Soon after Daush left our home for work, I started getting Daushi ready for bed, and eventually we both fell asleep together. Around midnight, I was awakened by one of my husband's NYPD colleagues. When I opened the door, I could see his eyes were red, as if he had been crying. In a stern voice, he said, "Go get ready, I'm gonna take you to the hospital." I asked him repeatedly what happened, but he evaded answering me. We left the house and I was scared and afraid that the worst had happened to Daush. But nothing could prepare me for what I discovered when I arrived at Kings County Hospital that night. The inspector pulled me aside and told me Daush had been in an incident where he was dragged by a car for a few blocks. I went into his hospital room, and there I saw him lying in a bed in a medically induced coma. The doctors were desperately trying to figure out what to do to proceed after they recognized that his brain was swelling and the swelling could cause him to stop breathing. 6 years later, and many hours of intense rehabilitation, we all still try to put the piece of the puzzle together. Daush underwent a number of surgery and a never-ending list of complications causing him chronic suffering throughout the years. Because of the radical changes in our life, Daush has been unable to celebrate what we normally enjoyed. He had been unable to appreciate fully Daushi's milestone, her first day in kindergarten, or participate in school trip. He's still unable to read her stories or talk to her in at night. There's no way to predict the bumps on this journey. It's like really a roller coaster ride. We share dreams that can no longer be fulfilled because we are now tied to wherever Daush receives his medical care. Daush is a fascinating husband and father, and a blessing to those that have come to know him. Hope, faith, the memories of the early days, and my love for Daush and Daushi is what has kept me going. Nothing in our lives is the same. Daush has given so much to the city, and it represents the work of our brave officers that serves our communities, a life of public service. Thank you for the unwavering commitment and dedication. While we go through this tough time, please do not give up. Your children and your grandchildren, your children's children will thank you one day. As for the perpetrator, your choice to act outside of the boundaries of our society altered many lives, and you must be held accountable, something that didn't happen. My family has been through a lot. I feel like the criminal justice system has failed us, has failed my family and the Blue family. Going forward, I'm dedicating my time to bring those injustices to light and affecting positive changes with my husband by my side. Thank you.
Stephen McDonald, of course, was a proud policeman and ended up getting shot, and you know the rest of the story. And we lost him a couple years ago, but he became a part of the fabric of New York. I mean, working at WFAN for many years in sports, everybody loves Stephen McDonald. Everybody. And I miss him too. I know the next lady about to come up here and talk about Stephen misses him more. And that's the widow of the late, great Stephen McDonald, Patty McDonald. Patty, come on up.
First, I'd like to thank WABC Radio for your support. And as was mentioned earlier, not only for the police department, thank you, but for the entire city of New York. Thank you, and God bless you. As mentioned, I am the wife of the late hero detective Stephen McDonald and the proud mother of Lieutenant Connor McDonald. 37 and a half years ago, my husband was gunned down by a 15-year-old boy while investigating a robbery pattern. Stephen survived the attempted murder on his life, but spent 30 and a half years confined to a wheelchair and dependent on a respirator. And as I look to my right and look at Dosh and Esther, it just brings back many memories. And I'm just, like I said to you before, I'm just so happy to see you here today. And Esther is an amazing woman, an amazing wife, and an amazing mother. As I said, Stephen was confined to that wheelchair for 30 and a half years. He passed away on January the 10th, 2017, due to complications from his injuries. There was never a day that went by that my husband regretted his choice to become a police officer. Just like his grandfather and father before him, Stephen wanted to protect the city to which he was born in. He believed in the greatness of this city and knew that it must be protected at all costs. After being shot, Stephen had long, painful days, just like Dosh does. But he always got up into that wheelchair to serve the department and the people of this city. Until his dying day, Stephen never regretted 1 second of his choice. As he said thousands of times, over and over again, if he had the chance again, he would do it all over again. Times could be tough, critics can be harsh, but as a widow of a great man and as a mother of another great man, I want all police to know how blessed and grateful we are for your service to this city and this nation. Thank you all. God bless the New York City Police Department.
We do have one more lady. She's a special lady, man. She's going to speak. I do want to remind folks that after this is over, we are going to have a roundtable discussion. These are great. And I don't know all the folks sitting on the round table. I know Ryder, Pat's going to be there, a few others. And our very own Dominic Carter, who does a tremendous job every night. He will be moderating that, so make sure you check that out. Dominic does a great job. I also want to recognize, of course, sitting to Dominic's left is the greatest news anchor in the history of the business. It's not even close. Chuck Scarborough is like miles behind him. My friend Ernie Anastas is here today. And also our very, very talented overnight host. And I mean that. Other Side of Midnight's a terrific show. He knows a whole bunch of stuff about all kinds of stuff. From New York City Council to aliens. He knows it all. My friend Frank Morano was here today too. So say hello to Frank. And we've also got a very nice lunch that'll come your way before and after the round table, so please feel free to come on upstairs and break bread with us. So Vanessa Williams once wrote a song. It was talking about saving the best for last. I'm not sure that's the case because everybody has been so great. Everybody. Esther especially, and Patty. But I remember last year standing right there where, Lisa, you're standing right now. And I didn't know who Eve Hendricks was, or her son Brandon for that matter. But I remember standing there and crying for about 10 minutes. And devastated. So when Eve showed up this morning, I said, "You don't know who I am?" She said, "Oh, no, I do." So I said, "But you spoke last year, and I haven't stopped thinking about you for basically 12 months. And she's here today with a T-shirt with her beautiful son playing basketball on her T-shirt. And he died way too young, just like Stephen did, Patty. But he was real young. He was just a teenage kid with a bright future ahead of him. But Eve has decided not to just stay home and cry every day, which I think I may end up doing if God forbid it happened to me. Instead, she's out here every year and she speaks all the time on behalf of her late great son. He did not die in vain. He did not die in vain. And her voice, I hope, means a lot to all of you. And when these guys talk about going out to vote next month in November, just think of Eve and think of her son Brandon. And God forbid that was one of us. So with that said, to wrap up today's, I guess, I want to say festivities, is the very, very courageous mother of the late Brandon Hendricks. Please give a rousing round of applause to Eve Hendricks. Eve.
The first thing I'm going to say, we should all stop talking about defunding. Defunding. The same ones that everyone wants to defund is the one protecting our community. The same ones that everyone wants to defund is the same one you have protecting you on your campaign. So let's stop talking about defund. Let's talk about how can we as a community, how can we as humans put an end to gun violence? How can we save our children and their children and children after? How can we make our communities better? And thus finding a way to get illegal guns off the streets. And remember, every illegal guns were once legal. Every illegal guns once was legal guns. So how these guns get in the hands of these thugs, these minors, these criminal mind people, the ones that took my son's life, the one that is dragging me in court for 3 years as if I am on trial, the one getting away with delaying a trial because of the way the system is operated. We have to do better. We need to come together more. We need to get in touch with people that are not here, people like the mayor, people like the governor, people like the commissioner. We need to ask them why are our children keep dying? Why there's no law to protect the victims? It could be any one of us. Just imagine your child laying there cold, stiff, in a bag. Just imagine your child laying there in a coffin. What would you do? You would cry. It's time to end gun violence. It's time to protect our community. It's time to change our children's way of thinking. We need more activities for these communities, for these children. We need a better way to attach the way things are going, because there are no changes and the numbers are going up every day. Babies, teenagers, elders, everybody's being shot. None of us are safe. So yes, we need to go out and vote. We put these people in. We put them in, so it's on us to take them out. If you're not doing your job, you need to be put out. We need people that cares about our community. We need people that care about our children. We need people that care about lives. We need people that are on the same team as our men in blue. Because as far as I can see, they're on their own. And we need them. I miss my son. I have sleepless nights. I hurt. I feel pain. It's not ending. Every day a mother suffers for the loss of her child, for her baby that will never return home, that look at you and say, "Ma, I will see you later." And you get that knock on the door. And the doctor look at you and tell you, "I'm sorry, I tried my best, but I could not save your child." How much more mothers, how much more families have to hear those words before anyone do anything to change the way gun violence is? How, like, it is ripping us apart. It's like nobody cares. But I know who cares. The officers, the police officers. I know they care because they're always there for me. They're always there for other families. When I go to court, they're there. They ask, "How are you doing?" They do not leave you. But yet they are the one that we want to defund. Someone once said, if someone is breaking in your house, who would you call? A crackhead? I don't think so. So thank you. I really appreciate you. Because I know if on that day, June 29, 2020, an officer was in the field, my son may be alive. But there weren't any. And this is a problem. We need more police officers out there in the community. We don't need to subtract, we need to add. And we need to also remember they need to go home to their families. In their uniform, they're an officer because it's their job. Out of their uniform, their husband, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, their friend. But being said that, we need to remind the governor, the mayor, that they promise to protect us. They promise to protect our children if we elect them. And we did because we believed in them. But they're showing us that they do not care. They do not care if your child gets shot in the neck 3 times, 5 times. They do not care if on the street you are walking and someone just keeps shooting. They do not care because it's not happening to them. And until it happened to them, then they may stop and say, "Damn it, enough is enough." But we don't want that. We're tired of these bloody streets. We're tired of these nightmares. We're tired of wondering if my child, my husband, if I am going to make it back home safely. We need people who will care and protect us. So let's vote wisely. And before I go, I would like to say something. And this is just me. I listen, and I listen well. And I say to myself, the same energy that these politicians has to put, let's say, Donald Trump in prison, why can't they find that same energy to find a way to get guns out of the hands of criminals, to get guns out of the hands of minors, to keep our streets safe? Why? Why? We know why. But why? Aren't our children important? Aren't we important? It doesn't matter who we are, where we live. We're all people, and we all cry peace, love, and unity. We all cry peace, love, and unity. Life matter. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. Life matter. People matter. My son matter. And I pray to God for him to come home every day. But because of the twining and whining and confusion going on in Congress, in Washington, in Albany, I can't even get that person that killed my son senselessly to get a trial. Enough is enough. It is time to put an end to gun violence. We need to say it loud and clear. Enough is enough. It's time to put an end to gun violence, because all life matters. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. You know, I can tell you that every day at WABC is a proud day. But this is one of our proudest days every year. And it's because of what all of our law enforcement agencies do to protect us and keep us going. So I want to personally thank, and I know the ABC staff wants to personally thank you for all you do for us every day you wake up. Thank you. We started this by saying today, it's respect, trust, and back the blue. This will be on WABCRadio.com tonight, okay? And I want you to tell everybody about it, not because it's WABCRadio.com, because it's going to make a difference for our city and our country if we get everybody to listen. It's respect, trust, and back the blue. Thank you.
My last 2 cents. Very emotional by that mother, and I feel for her greatly. And these politicians in Albany that made these bail laws, I've said to them 1,000 times. I've said it 1,000 times on the radio and on the television. If a person steals a loaf of bread because they're hungry, that's fine. I understand. They shouldn't really go to jail. But a person that has committed crimes against us, New York City, our people, 5 times, 10 times, maybe he doesn't belong to live in society. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Sid, thank you for everything today. Thank you to all of you for joining us today in support. And I'd like the police, pipes and drums, Bergen County, Amazing Grace, take it away. Thank you to everyone. We have a round table, as Sid had mentioned, upstairs and some lunch. So if you want, please join us upstairs.